Hey, what's up, guys? Today, I'll show you a psychological horror film, Triangle. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. Jess is a single mother to Tommy, an autistic boy. She loves him, but she often can't control her temper, as Tommy behaves differently from other kids. One day, seeing spilled paint on the floor, Jess yells at Tommy and slaps him in the face. But shortly after, she regrets abusing her son. With tears in her eyes, she holds Tommy and tells him that he just had a bad dream, and that when he's haunted by the bad dream again, he should close his eyes and think of something nice. Later, she hears a doorbell and goes to check, but finds no one is there. There is no time for her to wonder about it. She is in a hurry, taking her son to go sailing with her friends as scheduled. But Tommy cries, reluctant to go out. So Jess picks him up by force, hops into her car, and heads to the harbor. When Jess arrives at the harbor, her friends are already on board, waiting for her. Seeing Jess worn out and alone, her friend Greg feels a little bit confused and asks where her son Tommy is. Jess hesitates for a moment before saying he's at school, but it is apparently Saturday that day. Confused though, Greg holds back his questions. While they sail, Jess sleeps for a long time in the cabin. When she wakes up and walks to the deck, Greg teaches her how to steer a yacht. Jess looks much better now after some sleep, so the confused Greg asks what was going on with her, as she was never like this before. Jess answers in uncertainty that maybe she was upset about not being with her son. Greg says she is a good mom, but she can't be with her son all along. Suddenly, the wind stops and the puffed sail deflates. Scared of the coming storm, Greg calls the rescue center for help through the wireless. He receives no reply, but a weak signal of a woman's panicked voice. She cries for help and mumbles that they are all dead. Then Greg loses the signal. Soon after, the yacht is hit and upturned. The friends float blindly on the wreckage, waiting for rescue. But one woman is missing, and only 5 of the 6 of them remain. Seeing Jess in a daze, Greg asks whether her son is at school. However, Jess nods her head unsurely. Greg consoles her that when they get back home, they will take good care of her son, and he will be fine. Jess says nothing, seemingly getting lost. Moments later, a huge cruise ship approaches out of nowhere. They glimpse a figure on the deck, and they wave their arms, crying for help, but no one responds to them. So they manage to approach near and embark on the ship. Once on board, they find the mysterious figure they saw earlier is gone. They shout loudly at the top of their chicken lungs, but nobody responds to their chicken voices. Jess looks around and feels familiar, as if she had been on the ship before. But Greg pays not much attention to her suspicion, telling her all cruise ships are alike. The ship is named after Aeolus, god of wind in Greek mythology. According to the legend, the son of Aeolus broke a promise he made to death. As a result, he is punished by rolling an immense boulder up a hill, watching it roll back down, and rolling it up once again, meaning that he's trapped in the loop to fulfill his duty forever. Suddenly, the friends hear a bunch of keys clang to the floor. Jess is astonished to find they are hers, with a carrying of her son's photo, but no one knows how the keys got there. Later, they walk into the dining room. The fruits are fresh, but no one is there. When Jess turns around, she sees someone running away. Another friend named Victor runs after this unknown someone. Jess and Greg follow the noise to a room and find the words "Go to theater" written on the mirror in blood. Greg thinks it is just the trick of the cruise crew, but Jess believes there must be some danger lurking on the ship, so she turns around, trying to get off. Greg anxiously stops her and asks her not to derange. Jess tells him not to judge her, because all on her mind right now is to pick up her son back home from school. Then she storms off in anger. Jess goes around and finds herself in the dining room again. She then sees Victor stumble and all bloodied, so she hurries at him, trying to offer help. But Victor grabs her neck to suffocate her for an unknown reason. Jess manages to free herself, and during the fight, she locates a wound on the backside of Victor's head and sinks her hand into it, killing him. Jess is so shocked by the sudden incident, and still in panic, she hears another scream. She follows the sound and runs to the theater, only to find Greg lying on the floor, being shot dead. The other friend cries and blames Jess for Greg's death, claiming that it was Jess who shot Greg. At that time, they hear another gunfire. They find that there is a masked figure shooting at them from upstairs. 2 more friends are shot dead, but luckily, Jess survives the shootings. She runs away from the theater and comes to the deck. However, the masked figure flattens her from the back and turns the gun on her. Jess begs in terror not to shoot her, saying that she has a son to take care of. But the masked figure still shoots at her without mercy. Fortunately, Jess grabs the gun barrel in time, causing the shot to miss her. She rises from the floor and escapes. The masked figure runs after her and shoots at her until the bullets run out, but Jess is still alive. The masked figure then throws the gun at Jess. Jess runs to a corridor and picks up an axe from the wall. Then, the two fall into a fast and furious muscle wrestling on the deck. Finally, Jess overpowers the masked figure and pushes the figure against the yacht's edge. Jesse asks who the hell he is, but the masked figure only mumbles, urging Jess to kill them all, and claiming that's the only way for her to get home. Furious, Jess doesn't understand what the masked person is saying. She then wields the axe to hack her, causing the masked figure to fall into the sea. Terror by terror. Before Jess can take a break, she hears cries again. She goes to check and sees a group of people floating on an upturned yacht, waving arms toward her and crying for help. She is astonished to find out those people are no one else but her friends. It is even weirder when she sees herself among them, so she recoils in horror. When the friends embark on the ship, Jess sneaks up behind them. The group acts exactly the same as what happened a few minutes earlier. It turns out the bunch of keys dropped earlier is actually from Jess. She drops them down to the floor by accident while trying to spy on the recent onboard group. What's more, the one seen running away by the later onboard Jess is also the previous onboard Jess. Victor runs after the person and catches up with previous onboard Jess. Jess tries to explain to him what has just happened, but the new Victor doesn't understand and thinks she is crazy. Agitated, Jess pushes Victor against the wall, causing a long hook to pierce the backside of his head. That explains why Victor is all bloodied, with a wound on the backside of his head. Then, the poor Victor stumbles back to the dining room and encounters the later onboard Jess. Not knowing what actually happened, Victor grabs her neck in a rage. But the later onboard Jess happens to sink her hand into his wound on the backside of his head, causing his death. Victor does not know he has met two different Jess. One is the previous onboard Jess, who knows everything. The other is the later onboard Jess, who knows nothing. After that, the loop goes round and round again. Later, the previous onboard Jess reminds the later onboard Jess with a warning note, telling the latter to kill the onboard group all, and it's the only way to stop the loop for her to get home and see her son. So Jess makes up her mind. She picks up the gun and puts on a mask, revealing that the mysterious masked figure on the boat is actually Jess herself, who just takes the same role as her previous self. The never-ending cycle goes round and round, with more and more lives of the same persons gone. At last, the masked Jess falls into the sea, gets washed onto the shore, and heads back home hastily. From outside, Jess sees her son Tommy, and her heart is filled with affection. But to her shock, she hears her mourning self inside the house, who urges Tommy to go out with her to sail, yells at him in a bad temper, and slaps him in the face. Jess gets furious at the abuse of her son, so she rings the bell, then sneaks up behind and bludgeons her with a hammer. Then in tears, she holds the poor Tommy in her arms and tells him that he just had a really bad dream and that when he's haunted by bad dreams again, he should close his eyes and think of something nice. Soon after that, Jess drives to the harbor with his son. On the way, she consoles him by saying that she will never abuse him anymore, even when he has done wrong. But the son still remains silent due to the trauma. Feeling guilty and helpless, she tells Tommy that the violent woman who abused him was not his real mom, and that monster will never come back again. On the way, a seagull hits the windshield suddenly. Seeing blood splashing, Tommy is frightened and begins to cry. While Jess turns around to comfort her son, a truck speeds by. Then her car is knocked off the ground and turned over, causing Tommy to die unfortunately, and Jess to be knocked down lifeless. Seconds later, however, Jess stands up uninjured when a taxi driver approaches her. He tells Jess that her son is dead and no one can prevent death from taking him away. Jess accepts his offer for a ride and they drive to the harbor. Upon arrival, the driver asks her if it is a round trip. She promises him that she will come back, so the driver waits for her to return with the meter on. Jess gets off the taxi and boards the ship to join the group of her friends. Later, she shows up before Grep. She's worn out, alone, and in a daze, the same as she is shown in the very beginning, hinting that she enters another loop of the death journey. It's just like the son of Aeolus, who suffered endless punishments due to his breaking promise made to death. Jess will probably suffer the same because she chooses to sail out with her friends rather than return as promised, resulting in her breaking the promise to the driver, who is actually death sent there to escort her to hell. This Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.